on Inside the Red Truck. So this is episode 14 today. And you are our star guest.
I'm excited.
The great Liz. So I want to welcome everybody to the show. First off, let's have you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do here.
I am Liz Eisenberg. I run the CSR department.
Mm-hmm.
My official title these days is Service Operations Supervisor, or SOS. So the running joke is if you have a problem, just like call the bat phone. I have like one of those lights, you know.
Do you? It
Just
comes on if they need something.
and I'll show up.
Kind of the hub of this whole place, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good. Well, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you being here. I think this will be fun. So we're going to talk about CSRs, and for people that don't know what that is, customer service representative, that department, kind of, you know, what that looks like and what that role entails, your history, some of the things you've done with it. So I'm going to go there. But let's start with how long have you worked here?
It'll be 5 years in September.
5 years. You enjoying it?
Yeah.
And you just changed roles recently, right?
I did, yeah. It seems like it's changing all the time.
What did you start out as here?
As our base CSR, so just number one on phones,
Okay.
not knowing anything, did not come from this realm at all.
Really?
Started out doing hair.
Did you
before I
really?
came here. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was working at Great Clips before I came here.
That's where I take my kid to get haircuts all the time. The one right here in Redlands?
No, the one in Ukaipa.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
How
yeah,
funny.
You'll hear me say all the time, it's going to be great. And I picked that up from Great Clips.
It's gonna be great. Yeah. Is that was that their tagline you guys supposed to say?
Yeah, it's like blasted on their wall.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I enjoy it for people that don't work in here. You and I have a very formal introductions every day.
We do.
I don't know why that is or why that came from.
It just
but
seems appropriate.
it felt like I'm in like a castle or something. Like we're getting, we just came in and there's stones everywhere. It's funny, but that
How
cracks
can
me
you
up.
go wrong with Michael?
Hey, Elizabeth. That's the greeting every morning. It's not hello. It's nothing else. It's just
Michael.
name formally done.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right on. So tell me a little bit about your journey. Where are you from originally?
I grew up in San Bernardino.
Okay.
Was there kind of off and on growing up. And then my dad, right before I went into high school, he moved to Redlands. He was working for Esri, and he decided that Redlands would be better fit for high school. So that's where we went. I went to Redlands East Valley.
Okay.
Graduated in 2005 and just kind of hung around this area. I ended up moving to Ukaipa in 2007. I've been there ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, pretty local.
Yeah. What year did you graduate?
2005.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. What? So right out of high school, what does that look like? What did you go into hair? What was your?
No. So
your
right out of
move?
high school, my first job, I worked for Mattel.
Okay. Mattel, like the toy company?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
we went and we did like product setup in stores,
Mhm.
which was kind of cool because you got to tear everything
Oh,
down
that's
and
cool.
restructure like the displays and stuff. And I remember they used to give my friend's mom like all this free stuff. So one Christmas, I took like all these toys and I went and surprised my little brother and sister because at that time they were young enough, so
Mhm.
they like got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
And I spoiled the crap out of them. It was
Did you?
nice. Yeah.
And it was all free.
It was. There was like some Monster Jam truck thing and a whole bunch of different types of dolls. And like
Mhm.
for Christmas time, they would send you like these holiday Barbies.
Yeah.
Do
Really?
the holiday Barbie. But yeah, they would send it every single year for a good like 6 years until I guess they realized I don't work for them anymore. So yeah.
Couldn't do it anymore, huh?
Right. And then
Yeah,
after
funny.
that, I worked for Hallmark over at Citrus Plaza.
Mhm.
It's not even there anymore. It's like a Bath and Body Works.
Oh yeah, I remember it was right in the corner, kind of near Target, right there. Is that where it was?
Kind of. It's like, you know where that mosaic fountain is?
Yeah.
Right there on the corner, and you like pass through there to go to
Mhm.
Mountain Grove. It's like right
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Then I went to Target, and then when I was at Target, I went to beauty school. I graduated that in 2007. I worked for Supercuts for a while. I went back to an office job. I worked for an auto auction.
Wow.
After that, I worked at a pet grooming place.
Did you really?
I did.
You were all over the place.
Yeah, a place out in Banning. It was my friend's, her family owned the shop. So I was out there, and then I wanted to get back into hair, so I went back to Great Clips. And then I got pregnant with my daughter Lily,
Oh,
and
cool. She's so cute.
she
Cracks me
is.
up.
She's the
Reminds me of my
best.
daughter when I see her times there. I'm like, oh, I want to go home and see my kid.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she's
How
like
funny.
she'll be 5 in May, but
Does she really?
she's like a 17-year-old at heart, so
Yeah.
she'll run you up and down.
I understand. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
But with her, I just wanted more of like a stable schedule, so I
Yeah.
could spend as much dedicated time to her and not be like, oh, well, I'm not going to see you today because my schedule switched.
Yeah, yeah. Hair's kind of all over the place,
All
right?
over the
That's what, my
place.
wife's a hairdresser too. That's what she did all the way till we met, and she did it off and on for a couple years, and then stay-at-home mom, and so it's till we opened up our cookie business, and then she kind of takes that over. But
Yeah.
I remember her scheduling is like, it's weekends and it's just random hours till
Yeah,
she worked at Ontario Mills too, so it was like all kinds of hours,
not fun.
No,
I just couldn't see my schedule with Lil like that.
yeah,
So, like, hats off to all the ladies who have kids and they're still in
Yeah.
the hair industry because that takes a lot of balance.
Sure,
But I didn't
yeah.
want to start out like that. So,
yeah. Want something more stable and a little better career.
yeah.
That's cool. You seem like you're doing well here. Things are moving fast and expansion plans, and you're right at the head of that. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
How
This
did you do? You enjoy the role? And do you enjoy that role better than just answering the phones or working the regular CSR position?
I would say yeah, because you have your hands in a lot more of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you could see where the company's going, what it takes to kind of get there.
Sure.
You have your hands in more of like the issue side of it, which a big part of the customer service stuff is I like to be a problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to actually solve somebody's problem or a problem here in the office
Yeah.
is a lot nicer for me than just answering the phone and be like, okay, I'll send somebody out to you right now.
Sure.
Which, that is important, don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
But for me, I like to kind of get a little bit more dirty with it.
Yeah,
So,
that's a tough job. It's, I mean, the CSR department, all of it. I think it's like that's the heartbeat of the company, right?
yeah.
I mean, that's where it starts. Everything comes in. You guys have to figure out where those service calls go, how that gets arranged, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's challenging. Was it hard to learn? I mean, is that a tough one to pick up, or did it kind of come naturally for you?
The actual CSR part?
Yeah, like that whole.
Not really. I mean, it doesn't really change much having like the face-to-face conversations as you would like being a hairstylist
Mhm.
or working at Target or anything like that. It's like more over the phone. So it's almost like say you're a little bit more introverted. It's almost better because you're not face-to-face.
Oh yeah,
But you still get to share your energy with somebody.
yeah.
So it's a little
Communicating
bit
with different people.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can kind of transfer that energy, and it's kind of easier to, well, I take that back. It's not really easier to change someone else's perception because, say, like I'm standing in front of you and this, like you're kind of mopey or you're upset about something, like I'm able to turn that by, I don't know, when I'm talking, like I'm kind of an expressive person,
Sure.
so it can kind of,
Not by her introduction, I would never know.
yeah, but I don't know. It was not hard. The hardest thing
That's
is
cool.
trying to figure out the system that you're working with,
Yeah,
where to find all the information. But like we just integrated with Service Titan
yeah.
in 23. And so
Yeah, it's
that,
fairly recent for us. Huh? That's not too long before I started, I think.
yeah,
Huh.
we were on a different program before and it was very blocky
Was it?
and just like super old school. But with Service Titan, it's changing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not hard to follow.
Yeah.
And like I'm training a new girl now and just trying to show her different things. It's kind of really user friendly, but they also
cool.
have a section where you can just type in a question to kind of guide you through how to work out that
Oh, that's
issue.
going to
or
answer it
find
for you.
stuff.
Is it AI powered at all? Is that part of what gives you the answers on that stuff yet, or is it not? We're not there. You know how, like, if you go to like
Yeah.
ChatGPT, have you messed with any of that AI stuff?
I have.
So, like, it's cool because you can just type up whatever you want. It kind of thinks up the answer and comes up with something.
Yeah, I don't know if the answer part, I could be wrong. I don't know if the answers that it gives you is AI generated. It very well could be, but I think it just delves into what the system itself knows and pulls out what it thinks that you're looking for
Gotcha.
and kind of feeds it to you. So it could be.
That one of the things is, Tyler is who's our owner. For people that don't know, one of the things, the purposes of why we do this show is because we like to talk about things that we do or that we use, systems that we use, and important parts of this business. And we like to become, our plan is we want to be the leader that people can go to and listen to this and say, hey, other industry professionals can know what we use and what we do and kind of the processes that are important to us. ServiceTitan is one of those. That's a big one. We go to their conference. We just went to that last year.
Yep.
For those who are looking for good systems to use, your opinion of ServiceTitan, if you had to pick one, I mean, what are some of the pluses and minuses to that? And then I want to talk through like how your system works from start to finish when you guys pick up calls and how that kind of plays out to get the tech out there.
Okay. Well, I would definitely choose ServiceTitan over any system I've used. I mean, with different places that I've worked, all the systems were just very basic, and they don't offer information, and they don't coach you on the things that they're going to come out with, and they don't like. With ServiceTitan, it feels like everything is very, very user friendly. You could call their customer service line and ask questions about something. It might take a while to get your answers, but everybody who you're talking to is very genuine. There's like...
Yeah, you always get somebody on the phone too, right? I mean, you get to speak with real representatives over there.
Mm-hmm. And they're very responsive. When we go to Pantheon, everybody in that community is just very friendly and want to give the information that they have and want to share everything. It's really nice.
That's cool. One of the things I noticed with ServiceTitan, I haven't used other systems when it comes to this kind of industry, but there is a lot to know on there, right? I mean, it's got everything you can imagine. But with that said, it's very easy to pick up. Like the stuff is very simple. It's not this complicated process to get to there. There's a lot to know, but it's fairly simple to go through. I mean, even the marketing part of it that I use is it's mountains of things you can utilize. But once you go through it, figure it out, it's pretty simple to get through.
Yeah. Another thing that I like about ServiceTitan is they have their community page.
Where that's cool, yeah.
You can go and you can put your own post up there, and people will go in and give their feedback too.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's not even just the people who work for ServiceTitan, it's the actual users who can go in there.
That's cool.
And give their feedback and their pointers too.
And they put on a pretty sweet 80s party too.
Oh my God, the 80s party was nice.
We went to that thing. It was like Back to the Future car. I mean, who do we see there? It was Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men, Wilson Phillips.
And
Bret Michaels.
Bret Michaels, yeah, that was the big finisher, dude. That was wild.
Yeah.
That was a good time. That was pretty cool. But
he could have turned the sound down just a little bit.
Yeah, his was like
next day, but
ridiculously loud. It was killing me. I couldn't even hear the next day when we got up.
It's like, what?
I know. We had good costumes though, at least. Yeah. That was fun. So what is it? How does it work? Let's talk through what does your day look like? Let's say, let's kind of talk about what the CSRs do. So calls come in. How does that work? That process?
So the calls come in. The girls will pull up the information and just book a call. Like, they'll talk to the customers, find out what their issues are. We try and get as much information as we can from them, so we can give our technicians as much information so they can be as prepared as possible when they go out. Once the call is booked, they're obviously like looking at an availability screen, figuring out who we can send out when, and then it kind of gets pushed over to the dispatch side.
How does dispatch differ from the person who initially takes the call?
So dispatch, they're the ones who manage our board. So once the call is booked, it goes to a completely different board. And it has a list of all of the technicians. I think there's like 13, 15 technicians on there. And just try and arrange the board as much as possible. We'll have maintenances or different sort of like smaller issues to deal with. If we have somebody who calls in, they're like, my house is flooding, or
you push them up to the front, right?
Yeah, then we have to coordinate a little bit. But for the most part, we try and get everybody seen when we tell them they're going to be seen. Dispatch is not easy.
Sure.
Because you have to have all of these different things in mind. You have to have the customer first in mind. Then you have to figure out what the timing looks like. You have to touch base with the technicians and be sure that we know how long they're expected to be at their call. Sometimes it's hard to reach them because they can't hear you because they're running whatever tools they're doing, or they're under a house. So there's a lot of different touch points to get to that. I did dispatching for a little while, and I can tell you that the greatest feeling is when you have a full board and you're stressing out. You're like, I don't know if we're going to get all this. It
really is. I'm sure that's funny because it's like, seems like that'd be it was the most stressful, but it's the best because you're busy. Everybody's making money, right?
Yep. You know that's your job security.
Yeah.
You're also keeping everybody else fed.
Yeah.
But then like, say in your mind, I'm gonna have to move like 3 different people today because
Yeah.
A, B, and C happened. But then you're still able to get those people seen and make them happy. You're like,
That's cool.
Success.
How do you handle that if you have to move somebody out of there? What do you generally have to do?
We call and just tell them, unfortunately, something did arise where we cannot get them off of this call in the time that we thought we would. They ran into an emergency on their job. And unfortunately, we are going to have to reschedule.
Yeah.
We do try and give them priority for the next day or our next availability. If say we're like booked 2 days out, we will try and get them seen the very next day, and then if we have to do the same thing the following day, we will.
Geez.
But that's the beauty of it.
Generally don't want to
because
call the same
sometimes
person twice, right?
You don't know.
Oh.
And then, if you have to move them, you'll make a note in there like, oh, you had to move once, or a technician called out, so we weren't able to see them at all. Like, we make notes in there so we know, like all the other CSRs
Yeah, that's
know.
good.
That don't touch this person. Like, we've already messed with their schedule once already. We cannot do it to them again. And then
That's hard because people get frustrated because they're in a time of need, right? But then it's like especially if you have to call a second time, but I'm sure the first time even too, it's like they probably feel like you're doing it to them on purpose. But for anybody that doesn't know, it's like that's literally a last resort. It's completely last.
Yep.
It's not something that we would just do without a good reason to do it, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll surprise yourself though, and people will just
They're cool.
make it happen.
Really?
And some people are like, you could just see me next week. It's okay. And
Oh,
it's like,
really?
Oh my God.
This is what you love. You're like,
Thank you.
Thank you God, I was so nervous.
Yeah. Like, sometimes like you kind of build these relationships with your customers that return to you, or say you had a good conversation with them when they called in. Like you just kind of have that. It's almost like an instant relationship that you build with somebody. Like, say you're talking over each other, you're saying the exact same thing at the same time, and it just kind of like breaks the ice.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
It's kind of like a more personable conversation that you can have with them, or you can kind of gauge like, when I took this call from this guy, he was mad. Like, you do not want to mess with this guy.
No.
Or you'll have like the person is like, you guys could come out like tomorrow, next week, 2 weeks from now. I just need to get it taken care of.
Isn't that a good feeling?
Just
When
like,
it's just an easy call.
yeah.
It's funny to me how, before I started in this industry, you don't realize how much people skills this job takes. It's like no matter what job you're doing here, it's your job, any of the CSRs, all the technicians, half of half, if not more of the tech's job is to make that customer feel like they trust you, right?
Yep.
And you guys too, and to have the right tone and attitude with them, and to be, what's the word? Not caring, but sympathetic to what they're going through.
Yeah.
It changes. It can make or break the whole thing for you. It's weird. I always thought of plumbing or HVAC, and I think most people do is dudes just show up in these trucks and they send out and they go clean, out of your pipes, and that's what it is. But it's really not. It's like between our work being such a family, and then the relationships with the customers, and like how important it is to make them feel good.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that.
You really have to have like a sense of self-awareness, I guess, because each person you're going to have a different interaction with. Not everybody's going to be so welcoming to you when you come to their home or on the phone. Like, you will get somebody who is very snappy.
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of just want to put like your best empathetic foot forward and just be like, listen, I understand. I get where you're coming from. I understand that you're mad. Or they'll snap at you sometimes, and then you kind of just keep your cool and kind of reel it back in. By the end of the conversation, you're like, I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you. It's like, I get it.
I just had a
would
moment.
be freaking out too if my basement was flooded. That's not a problem. So
well, that happens. You expect somebody, as soon as you get on the phone, they're going to go, oh, we'll be there in 5 minutes. And like, it's just not the reality. Sometimes,
Yeah.
once in a while you get lucky, but that's just not the way it is.
Yeah, we will try. Like when I first started here, I got a call from a woman, because back then we had a parts counter. So we would sell parts, and I was trying to reach the parts counter, and it was like a busy day. And this lady, she was mad that she could not get anybody on the warehouse phone. And I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, they have to be with a different customer. And the way that she was talking, I swear I thought Tyler had hired somebody to mess with me, because I was like fresh in the company, and she was irate, and she was so fast talking. And she called 3 times, Mike. And
Really?
I really thought that he had
Oh,
hired
my.
someone to just like haze me in.
That was your hazing to get in the door.
Turns out that was not the case. And
man.
I don't think I think I heard back from her one other time, like a couple months down the road, and I was like, no, she's legit. This is just her personality, so let me kind of switch it up. But
Yep.
trying to keep your cool and like, she wanted me to get up from my desk and walk down to warehouse
Yeah.
to find this part for her. And I'm like, that's a completely different department,
Yeah.
and I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for. I promise you I will have somebody to call you back. And it was just,
You know, it seems like a
It was a
big
mess.
challenge. Listening to some of the calls that I have to log in for our Google ads, it's like you hear these ones call in and they want a quote to do what? Let's say change the toilet out and do something else in their house, but they want it right now
Yeah.
and they want it over the phone. And then they're upset if you don't give that to them. And I understand people that don't understand the business. That's just, you have to come out and you got to see that thing, right?
yeah.
But it's funny to listen to this stuff, and I'm like, and the girls are so calm. It's just like this. Yes, ma'am, I understand, but unfortunately, we aren't able to do that. And so, any customers listening, I am sympathetic, and I understand that, but
Yeah.
also understand that to give a good quote, a correct one, because everybody's going to hold you to it. If you gave them a price over the phone and it was $1,000 less than what it's supposed to be, they're going to hold you to it, right?
Yep.
So you have to follow the process and go through, and you're going to lose some that way. But I think that's just
I know.
just how it is.
Especially here in Redlands, like you have a lot of like the historical homes or like
Yeah.
the older homes and stuff. So not everything that they make now is going to just be like plug and play for you
Yeah.
guys. Like there are a lot of different variables that go into this.
Yeah.
So that's why they have to go out. They have to put eyes on it. They have to see what your home actually needs, what's going to fit for you, what's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be a waste of time and money for you. So we're coming back out next week when it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There are quite a few things that the guys have to go through.
Yeah.
And that is something that we also have to keep in mind in our CSR department too, because we will book a call and think it's, maybe going to take 2 hours, and it ends up taking 3.5, and we're like,
Yeah.
well, that call shouldn't take that long. It's like, but you're not thinking about their side of it or that actual home. So
Sure.
you have to really just think of all the different
It's a
scenarios
delicate
that kind of
balance
work.
to get that dispatch board correct, right? Because
Yep.
you don't really know how long it's going to take. You go,
Yep.
how do you guys figure that out? How do you know? Let's say somebody calls and needs a jetter appointment or whatever it may be, and how do you know how long to book those guys in?
Well, the way we do it is with Service Titan, we have job types. So it will kind of allot a certain amount of time for this job. However, if you have the customer saying, this is what I need, but my house is this old, or I have these other issues or these other symptoms with it, we know it's not just going to be a basic,
Yeah,
2-hour
real
call.
quick. I
Or
gotcha.
we have somebody who, like, say we have like a newer technician who is really going to be sure that they are covering all the points. Like, we give them a little bit more grace time. It may not take that extra time, but we just kind of try and gauge it out. That way we're not having to move somebody
Yeah,
or,
constantly reschedule. And,
yeah. So it's a
Gotcha.
nice balance.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
have to
for
kind
sure.
of figure it out.
What's your favorite part of the job?
My favorite
Not to be
part of the
cheesy,
job-
with what's your favorite? What's your favorite
My
color,
favorite
Liz?
thing.
Let's go through all your food and your favorite colors and everything.
We don't have enough time.
I know, I understand. I hate it when people ask me, "What's your favorite?" I'm like, it depends on what day it is. I like different foods, different days. I like,
Yeah.
But I mean, do you have a
All of
favorite
it?
part? Yeah, I really don't. My kids ask me, like, "Dad, my favorite song is this," and what's yours? I'm like, I don't know. It depends on the mood. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
They think I'm weird for that, I guess, but
It's easy to ask kids
Yeah.
what their favorite something is.
true.
And then to have an adult
Yeah.
nail that down, they start rationalizing things. You're
Yeah.
like, well, it's kind of,
Yeah, like I've been through a lot, kid. Like I've seen a lot of things. I don't know what my favorite is.
yeah. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that yesterday. So,
It's Charmander. So
well, what do you enjoy about the job? What's your,
I like to be with my team. I like to check in on them and be sure that they have what they need. And if they have a problem, I like to get in there and try and help them solve it. I don't know. I just like the customer service aspect of it. But it's not just with the customers. Like in my role, I have that customer service, but for my girls too, because now they have their own set of needs. when
Yeah.
they're trying to help somebody else. And I just like helping people.
Yeah, keeping your team happy is probably a big part of it, right? I mean, to keep the customers happy, it has to come from the top and trickle down. I think that's that's the way I feel about this place. It's like Tyler comes in and it's usually a smart ass comment, and when he walks in, I love it. It's just how I roll too.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of do.
Yeah.
And to start off there and then to go, and then my favorite part of the day is when people, usually when just walking by, your little hello or anybody's comment, whatever it might be. You know, Tanya came to me yesterday and she goes, hey, or no, she walked by and she said something like, oh, hey, how's it going? And I was right in the middle of my stuff. I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? And just kept going. And she messaged me. She goes, is everything okay? Are you all right? Did you feel like you weren't feeling good? I'm like, really? I'm like, why? It's fine. She's like, well, you just didn't seem like yourself. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know
Just
this.
focused.
Yeah, I was. I just got a lot of stuff going on. And she's like, oh, okay, I just thought something was wrong. I'm like, I guess, that's the way it goes.
That's like the main thing though with everybody here. And it's kind of, it's cool, but it's also odd that you have all of these people with the same kind of mindset. Where you're just like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Is everything cool?
For sure.
Is there something I could help you with?
Yep.
Or like the banter. Everybody's kind of on the same page. It's a very unique culture to be a part of, but if you fit, you fit. And it just kind of, I think that's what makes us so good is just like our vibe internally and our vibe that we kind of give to our customers. It's all just solid, and
It's
good
cool
stuff.
that I think they're intentional with the type of people we hire as far as what our culture is and the personalities that you hire, and it's cool. This is probably the first place I've seen that really puts that much into making sure that they know the type of person they're hiring before they do that, and intentionally hire like-minded people. And it makes a difference. You notice a complete different work environment than I've ever been in.
Yeah.
It's more fun. It's like this job doesn't feel like work to me, if that makes sense. It's always like, because there's always somebody laughing or making a joke or whatever. But everybody's working and things get done correctly and efficiently, and we have a good name. But it's cool to be in an environment that's so friendly,
Yeah. I don't think I've ever, in my 5 years of being here, if I woke up and said, I don't want to go today. And that's
I haven't either so
odd.
far. Yeah. I've had some jobs that I just dreaded going to. I worked for this warehouse company. I'm not going to mention the name, but years ago, I used to drive to Anaheim every morning. Me and a buddy, we both got this job working in a warehouse, and we were there. And the boss of the guy who ran the warehouse was like, he's just the worst person in the world. And and I remember we were there for like I think I was like 6 months in, and they gave us a review, and he's like, okay, we did our jobs. I think we did a good job. But he comes to me and he's like, okay, you're doing good. Everything's great, blah, blah, blah. And he says, we're going to give you 25-cent raise. I'm like, dude, after putting up with you, I didn't last much longer after that. I'm like, putting up with this guy, but it makes you not want to be motivated for that stuff. It's a totally different atmosphere.
I had kind of like the same situation when I also won't mention names, but when I worked for the auto auction, like there's a lot of stress that comes with that job. And trying to be a liaison, if you will, in between, different companies. And then you just kind of do your best and you're like, okay, so let's do your review. Here's a 25-cent raise. And it's like,
yeah, why even do it?
Okay.
Like, let's just save it up for 4 years and we'll just keep adding to maybe $1 and
Yeah.
God, it's crazy. There's got to be some wild characters in that auto industry or the auto auction industry, right?
Yeah.
Rough people.
You cannot be thin-skinned.
Oh, I'm sure. Huh?
I feel like in the customer service industry in general, you can't have thin skin. You have to have a level head and you have to have thick skin, and you gotta know, when it is appropriate to banter, when it's appropriate to just stay firm, not lose your cool.
That's like I think the people who work in the restaurant industry. It's like I worked for one day when I was 16 or 17. I got a job at Market Brother in Riverside. I worked for one day. I was like, I'm done here, dude. This is not. My dad had kind of pushed me. He goes, he's like, I got this buddy's a manager. He's gonna give you a job, and I'm like, I didn't ask for this job. What are you talking about? And I was a kid. I didn't want to be there, but I remember I went in there, and in that one night I was there was like they had a salad bar area in the back, and the first thing happened, we was in there, and he had me cutting shrimp and peeling them, and so I'm doing that, and they used to put their cans of or ranch, or they're dressing in these giant trash cans, and they were clean. They weren't really trash cans, right?
I was gonna say.
But I was standing there, and this waitress walks by, and one of the guys working in the kitchen somehow hit this thing, and it dumped it was like the big trash cans, dumped ranch dressing all over this chick, completely on the floor, and the place is covered. And between that, and then about an hour later, I'm watching I probably shouldn't tell any of these stories but it was wild. I'm gonna stop right there and probably edit that out. So, but they were eating off their plates. Like people's plates getting ready to go out. I was thinking, oh my god! And then it was crazy. People were rude. I mean, it was wild. But I watched people, from the waitress end of it. You go to eat dinner somewhere, and the people you got to put up with. It's like it's got to be just so tough,
I don't know if I would survive.
Yeah. Do you think? Does it feel like people are a little less patient now than they were a couple years ago?
That's a good question.
After like COVID, let's say, I've noticed. I ask you that because through my experiences with stuff, I feel like in the last 4 or 5 years, people have just turned into where they need it right now, and it's very short tempered. And do you see that in here too?
I do, but then you also have to think we have like our old school type customers that
that's
are
true.
returning that we deal with a lot more. So I feel like with our return dedicated loyal customers, no. With the ones that are just coming up and they are just looking for, like you said, somebody right then and there. They just found us on the internet. They've never used us before. They want it right now, and they think throwing their weight around is going to make us bend over backwards.
Sure.
Like, we're going to do everything we can to get you seen and make you happy. However, if we don't have it available to you, we're going to tell you we're going to do our best to try and get you seen or get you taken care of. And it's just not good enough. People will, like, I've had somebody tell me go to hell before.
Have you?
Yes. And
because of something that didn't warrant that,
because
right?
I don't remember if it was, I couldn't get him seen that same day, or I couldn't give him a price over the phone. I had to have somebody reach back out. He straight told me to go to hell. And I was like, okay, have a good day.
You know what sucks? I think a lot of people, with this industry especially, I think they have that attitude off the bat because maybe the experiences they've been went through with some other companies, right?
Yeah.
Because as well as I do, I've been through them. The other companies, I don't know, none in particular, but that have come to your house, and it's like they are just looking to make money off you. That's it.
Yeah.
Telling you the wrong thing, they're lying to you about it, and so I think it puts a stigma on plumbing and HVAC, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of one of those things where you have to be sympathetic. And there's a reason why people feel that way. It's too bad that the industry has kind of gotten that name,
Yeah.
Because we are an honest company. I could say that, and just because I work here, I might be biased, but I'm really not, because I know what our core culture is here, right? And what they teach and what they want from us, our great program. And honesty, I think, and integrity is probably at the top of that list.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our customers understand that, but you have to get through that initial wall.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
What I like about our technicians is, I think I've heard Noah say it before, where like, I'm not doing my job if I don't tell you about everything that's going wrong in the home, because I can come out and fix the symptom that you're having. But if I don't tell you, look, this is being caused because of this, I'm not going to do you any sort of service. And it's not like he says, this is happening because A, B, and C, and now I'm going to go ahead and replace this or do this for you, and you don't really have a choice. It's, we offer you, or we present you with what's going on. You have the option to do whatever you want. It's your home. Like, we don't put the pressure on.
Yeah.
So we're laying out all of the information. We are being honest. We're being genuine. We're just trying to help you the best way we can. And it's really up to you what you want to do with that information. And there's no judgment. Like, we will help you however you want.
Yeah, no pressure.
Here's what it is, though.
That's what I hear. I hear Marshall talk about that in the meetings all the time. It's present them with the overall correct fix. Don't tell them they have to. Give them the option of the Band-Aid, and then also here's the overall picture of what it looks like. What would you like to do?
Yeah. And, a lot of the time people are like, yeah, I don't want to be in this situation in another 9 months, so I'm just going to bite the bullet now, and I'm just going to get it taken care of. Our work is warranted, so it's not like you're just going to pay out and that's it. Like, you're never going to see us again. We're just going to pack up and hit the road. We've been here for
128 or 27? Yeah.
Yeah.
Since 1898, so whatever that ends up being. Not wild.
That is
That's crazy. Can you imagine? You've seen those pictures of the old ones of our.
Mhm.
It's bizarre to me that
That's the one that's in the break room now, right? Where it's like
that's one of them.
starting
Yeah.
and then-
Then there's I don't know if it's on there, but there's the one where the two guys are in the room and it's a bunch of bathtubs and
yes,
that's super cool.
yep. I love
The
that.
history. I know it's I love looking at like old. I like the Orange Street in Redlands. You see those old pictures of that, being able to see the buildings and everything, but just to know this is part of that history. It's pretty cool. You know, it's something
yeah.
something you don't see very often. I don't know anybody else who's been open this long.
No, I feel like some people would see that and like that's a joke. Like that's
Yeah,
not
right.
And it's like no, like look at our website. Like
Yeah.
it will tell you the trend
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. It's true. It's a big history. You know, it's crazy. Talking about techs, what do you think makes a successful tech versus one that doesn't? What's the important part of that?
I feel a successful technician is one who is humble, who makes the customer feel like they're important. What they have to say is important, that they're not pushy, that they do present all of the information up front. And it's not just, oh, I'm here to look for the biggest thing. So, I can try and make as much money off of this call.
Yeah.
That's going to, not get you to have them trust you.
Yeah.
It's not going to get your job done. It's
Yeah.
going to make not only you, but put a bad taste in the customer's mouth for the entire company. You just need to take what you know, take your integrity and go with it. Just be humble, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some advice you'd give to another person that owns a service company like this? What is the most important things to keeping a CSR and technician relationship healthy and helping to make that a smoother process or a successful part of the company? What do you think is part of the key to that?
I think they just need to pay attention to the quality of people that they're hiring, not just fill a body because you think that it's gonna having so many technicians is gonna build your company. It's gonna be this big great thing. But if you are hiring people who are not great, it's not gonna turn out great for you. You really need to take your time and actually have like when we're hiring, we have conversations, not just, well, what's your background? Where did you start? It's actually like, okay, well, let me kind of read your vibe. Like, I kind of hate using that term, but like,
vibe.
you know what I mean? Like, let me
do too.
see like what your personality is, and then kind of get in there and ask questions that you think pertain to like what your goal is to have for these type of people in your company, the type of people you want representing you. And if
You probably want to get a feel of like what their average conversation is, right?
yeah,
Like who am I going to want to hang out with this person or be around them or be with our customers?
and pay attention to those red flags, because
Yeah.
if there's something that pings in your head, there's a reason you're getting that ping in your head. So don't just move forward with it, because
Yeah.
I've seen before where like I'm very, very new to the interview process, but I've had before where I have like this little like inkling, you know?
Something weird.
And then it turns out like spot on.
Yeah.
So you really need to
You got to go with your gut. Right?
Yeah, you do. So pay attention, take your time, don't rush into just hiring somebody off the spot. Like if you want your company to be successful and be genuine, hire genuine people. Because if not,
Yeah, I think it's important too to purposely tie your departments together. I think what I mean by that is hire the right people that you know are going to interact with the other teams and make sure everything crosses paths, right? That way everybody's talking and everyone is, one of the things I always try to do is intentionally butt into different departments just so I can say what's up and say hey and become a part of that. Get to know those people.
yeah.
I think for other business owners to try to make it all business all the time, that's great, but you need to allow for a little bit of friendly banter and be able to know that the person you're hiring is not going to be threatening to someone else. Make them feel uncomfortable and see that's I think that can kill a business. If the vibe is off, then it can kill it.
It is.
I find myself saying that word vibe way more than I should too.
It's like this day and age.
Oh yeah.
You know?
It's the stuff they're saying now. The kids are like, my daughter says that, and I'm like, like bruh or whatever else. I'm like, dude, come on. She's like, dude, why do you say that? I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what we said back then, you know.
My daughter will do this. She went through a very small time. She goes, "What's up, bro?"
That's,
No, what are you?
that's what my daughter. That's her thing. That she does that. It's like bruh whenever she doesn't like, you know, whenever something's up or
Yeah.
funny, or I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, now she's changed
Kills
it
me.
from bro to bro.
She.
Like, I'm not your bro.
That's funny. Huh. Well, cool. So what would you say is the best way to keep your morale high in your department?
Well, I would say just be thankful. Number one, you have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, the people that you work with we all have the same goal in mind. We all want to just, I don't want to say have a good time, but we all want to just be happy. We want to help people. We want to get our job done. We want to do it in the most non-stressful way possible. With my girls, I could tell when one of them is off. It does not take much.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is just pull them aside and be like, what's happening?
Yeah.
How can I help you resolve this issue? What can I do to help you? And even if it's not directly in my department, like
Yeah.
the other people in the company too, like what's
Sure.
going on? Because I can see it on your face right now.
Yeah.
And
Well, you know, people won't come out and say it usually, so it's good to approach that before it does.
Like,
Then they're like,
right.
oh, I can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely, it helps having somebody come and check in on you once in a while, right?
yeah, so I think just being sure that everybody's okay and everybody has the tools that they need to get their job done, figure out where you can help if needed, let them know that they're supported,
Yeah.
kind of throw some fun things in there when you can.
Yeah.
I started, I don't know if you've been in the CSR office lately, but there's whiteboards up there, so I've been switching little statements.
Is that the one on the left when you walk in there?
So there's
okay.
one over by Lisa, and then there's one over by Tanya and Frida. So the one, I'm gonna mess this up. The one by Lisa, it says, ability is something that you're capable of. Motivation is your, I'm gonna mess that one up. So it's
I
like
won't hold you to
ability,
it.
motivation,
Uh-huh.
and then attitude. And attitude
Cool.
is your, like the way that you go about doing it. So it's just kind of like a reminder for the girls, like when they come in,
Yeah.
like you have these three things,
Sure.
you're in control of them, let's make it work. And then the other one, it says, stay humble, work hard, be kind. And pretty much that's all you need to do in a
Yeah.
CSR office.
Yeah, that's,
You know,
that's
like,
true. That's the
keep
key,
it
the
cool,
basis to it, right?
Get it done,
Hmm.
and just be super nice.
Hello, how's it going?
How can I help you?
Well, I'm going to let you gloat on yourself for a minute. So you were
Okay.
obviously a very important part of this team. So I've just in the time I've been here, I've noticed the leadership roles that you've taken on and things like that. What do you think takes? And I'll talk in general terms here too. But what took you from the CSR, the baseline position to what you're doing now? What was that path for you? And what do you think that looks like for other people? What is it that gets people advanced in this, in this career or in any other kind of job that they're in?
For me, I know that when I started out just base level, I was still always asking literally everybody, is there something I could help you with? Like, do you need anything?
Yeah.
Like, do you need anything? And I feel like the more you outreach and the more you're willing to learn and the more you're willing to take on, that shows initiative and
Sure.
that shows that you are going to take something and try and run with it. When I was handed more of like the leadership role, it feels awkward because like I am just that person who I'm down to help. Like
Yeah.
I'll get in the mud with you. I really don't care.
Do whatever.
But
right?
now when it's like, okay, so you've been in the mud, you've made it here. Now you need to kind of like let go
Mhm.
and let other people kind of get in the mud and start like doing that too. And it's like, I don't really know how to do that successfully because I just want to be in there with them.
Yeah.
So
Well, now does it feel like when you took that higher position, did it feel like it went from you were there and you have that mindset of, oh, I just want to help and be involved with everything, and now it's expected of you, right? I mean, now you have you have more responsibility, and now it's something you probably have to go to work and go, okay, I have to do these things.
Yeah.
Even though I enjoy doing them, now it's part of the job description, right?
Right.
And now I have to manage others to motivate them to do the same thing.
Right. But the good thing about at least my team is they ask that same question. Can I help you with anything? Before somebody takes their lunch or goes on a break, is there any, before they leave for the day, is there anything that you need from me? And they will ask individually,
That's
Lisa,
cool.
Frida, Liz, Talia, do you need anything from me before I go? Even if you're leaving for an hour. No, just go enjoy your free time. Like,
Yeah, right.
just
Take a break.
Be free. But
You have a good crew in there. They're the best.
I'm super lucky.
Yeah, they're very cool people.
It kind of goes back to paying attention to who you're hiring.
Yeah, it's true.
Because when, like our newest girl, Frida, I had to, not only does she have great skills and a great background, but also she has a great personality, and it's going to mesh with the great personality of Lisa, and it's going to mesh with the great personality of Tanya. And we all have our strengths, and to see them, like Frida's been here a week, and just to see them all like communicate and bounce off of each other,
Seems like she fit right in
she
really
did.
well, right? Yeah.
And it's like you are so lucky to be able to have a crew where it just goes together.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I mean, sure, it's early, but typically you're going to see if something's going to kind of be off a little bit. I don't know. It's just, I'm really lucky with those girls.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I spend a lot of time with Lisa because we do all these events together, and it's like one thing I'd never hear out of her mouth is complaining about her job. And she talks, it's the opposite. She talks about how she loves it. She thinks you're a great leader. She loves the team that you guys have and everybody at the office. But from being with her outside of the office, I know that you created a good environment in there, That's important because that bleeds over to everybody,
But just how much she's grown too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
she's taken on a new leadership role. I mean,
She
she
sure
stepped
has.
up for sure.
yeah, she started out just regular base level CSR. Now she's our lead dispatcher.
Yeah.
But she never once complains. I mean, of course, everybody has like things that they have to say.
Of course,
but it's
gonna
never
gripe
like,
once in a while.
no, I'm not going to do that. It's
Yeah.
like, give it to me. I'm good.
Yep.
And I feel like everybody on my team has that same mentality. And I think that's why we're so strong in there. Is because we're down to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Definitely.
If you give me the go ahead, I will do it.
Just gonna do it.
But then it makes it hard because I want to be a part of that
Sure.
too. And now with my new role, it's like, yeah, I'm leading these girls, but now I have to like jump into a different, like now I have to actually pay attention to the processes and how things are actually working internally for them to be able to do their job right. So that's kind of a whole gear shift too.
That's probably a weird shift to figure out how to navigate that in the group, right? Only because you're everybody is a team here, but when you are in a leadership role, you have to now step out of that. Hey, we're just coworkers, buddy, right? Now there's going to be hard conversations. There's going to be times where I have to either give you kudos or say, hey, we have to check what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And how do you navigate that kind of stuff? I mean, you got to separate the friendship.
Yeah, it has been difficult. I feel like just recently am I starting to be like, this is what you wanted. Like, this is what you've been working for. So suck it up and let's go.
Go for it, yeah.
So when I know that I have to have a tough conversation, I just kind of like take a deep breath and go for it. I mean, I still rely like on Dan if I have to. But for the most part, like if it's something that's not being done right in call taking or not being done with a project that they're doing, like just kind of like I know where my heart is. I'm not going after you.
Sure.
But I know that something
business,
needs to be
right?
corrected. And I know that, well, I hope that they know that is where my heart is too. Like I'm not just like, I'm the boss now, so you have to listen to what I'm saying. It's like we have a job to do and it's got to be done right. Let's go for it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's just, I don't know.
Well, that's very cool. Well, I think I enjoy working with you here. I'm having a great time with everybody in this place, but I've really enjoyed like getting to know you and everybody else here too.
Yeah.
It's been fun. So, but I want to thank you for coming in. I think we can wrap it up now. We're just about out of time, and then so I want to remind all of our listeners, if you guys want to follow us, it's Redlands and Henry Bush on social media. Search Inside the Red Truck on Spotify and YouTube. And that will about wrap it up for us. So thanks again for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right.